is what rich, entitled people do when threatened.
Susanna, how did this project come to you? And were you just taken with it like from the first second?
Well, I read David Kelly's first draft of the first episode, and I was very fascinated by that. And I knew that Nicole was going to play Grace. And then Nicole came to, I was staying in Los Angeles, and Nicole came to my hotel to I don't want to say seduce because that might be misunderstood, but absolutely convinced me to do it in a very, very convincing way. As in you're not gonna stay alive if you don't do it, kind of thing. And then I had wanted to work with Hugh forever. And I thought, this is a chance. They would be a really great, sexy couple. And I get to work with both of them.
I'll make it up to you later.
Make it up to me now. Let's find a room. They must have a few.
You're so bad.
So, Nicole, do you and Hugh make a very sexy couple?
I hope so. I mean, I hope, because part of the whole, the way in which it has to work is you have to want these people to be together. And so I hope people want us to be together. I mean, not in real life, obviously, Hugh. But I hope that that's the desire on screen. And Susanna was really, really great because she had that relationship with Hugh. I've wanted to work with Hugh for a long time. And never, I'd heard that he didn't like working and he was very hard to get. And Susanna was like, no, he'll do it. I remember her saying that. And I'm like, okay. She goes, no, he will. It's a fantastic character. He'll be perfect for it. And I know he'll do it. So there you go. That's how much she knows you, Hugh.
Hugh, why are you perfect to play Jonathan?
Well, I always thought with this character, but let me just say,
talented.
I was extremely flattered to be approached by Susanne Bierr and Nicole Kidman with a classy script from classy HBO, and not reluctant at all. You've made me sound like a terrible prima donna, which is not entirely inaccurate, but not accurate in this case. And why am I right for the role? Well, he's an interesting guy, Jonathan. He's one of those doctors. He's a child oncologist, and so therefore, in many ways, a saint, and marvelous. He saves kids' lives. But hopefully one gets the feeling that, what a lovely man, but is he too lovely? The metaphor I always had in my head was, you're wearing a lovely old cotton shirt, and then you just start to think, is there a tiny bit of viscose in this cotton? Is it a bit too easy to iron?
That is an interesting way.
Mark's like, what?
Does that make any sense? Or do I sound insane?
Young people are vile. Vile!
Why not make it a movie?
Well, it is a movie. It is a 6-hour-long movie, divided into chapters. And it's shot exactly like a movie. And it's kind of, bordered exactly like a movie. So, which is why nobody else could have directed. But also because I think I'm just too obsessed with what I'm doing I don't think I'd be able to have somebody else come in and do something.
Nicole, tell me about Grace. Did you find women who inspired her, or were you able to sort of find her as her own character? Because I know a lot of women like that in New York.
I sort of just, Susanna and I just worked very closely on building her from just the way in which she would think and feel, but also the way in which she moved, and the walking was a huge part of it. Like the idea of someone that just walks, that goes out to process things by walking, to escape, to hide. I mean, that, and I wasn't quite sure how that was going to work. We shot so much of that, and the hypnotic quality of it suddenly became that. It's almost like that's how I entered her, because a person that just wants to go and walk, and she would walk across Central Park, she would walk blocks and blocks, but in that time she would be alone, quiet, and thinking.
You think you can handle everything on your own? This is bigger than you.
Can we just get a quick selfie?
I'll fix this. Am I like Grace at all, Susanna?
You on screen, but it was remarkable. You know, Nicole would come to set and would be like carrying a cup of tea. And then she'd kind of, you know, go into costume or we'll rehearse or something. And she would actually come in as Grace to set. And she would be carrying probably another cup of tea, but still a cup of tea. And she would be carrying it in a different way, holding the cup in a different manner. And so, yes, it's obviously it's the same body, but it's essentially a very, very different character. I mean, Nicole is able to access a different character in a very, like, almost like scary way. I think, Nicole, I think maybe you're from outer space or something, or a mutant.
I'm from that far off planet.
Yeah,
have you heard of it?
Yeah. But it was
Pluto.
remarkable.
I want to be from Pluto.
You have always seen things so clearly. How can you not see this now?
Tell me about the first day on set with Nicole, your first scene together.
What was it, Nicole? What was our first words to each other? See, I always felt like we really had worked together on Paddington, even though we hadn't.
I feel like we've known each other for a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel unbelievably comfortable, which is a good thing. But I do just remember laughing. I remember the read-through when we first came to New York and we did the read-through together. And we all sat around that table and Donald was there and all of us. And that was sort of when we first, and we read the whole thing. We read all of it in one sitting, really, didn't we? Which was a great way to do it, Susanna, because it was sort of, we just had to jump in and it was really fun. But I remember then going and getting a cup of tea with you and you asking lots of really personal questions.
What were you asking her, Hugh?
And I was like, oh, here we go.
And I remember Hugh, and Hugh right away in that read-through kind of sort of found like 5 or 6 soft spots in the script. And he went, this isn't working. Oh, I'm not getting this. And we all went, shit, he's right. Can he just be quiet?
I like to keep things negative if at all possible.
No, not negative, but very, I mean, it was like, Hugh won't miss one single thing. It's like, you can't like, I mean, Hugh, you'll be polite, but you will definitely scan anything which is sort of weak or not consistent or cohesive or anything like that.
That was the old me. I've decided to spend my last 30 years much more laid back. I'm going to sort of have like a Richard Burton in his later years. We really just turn up and do any old thing. I'm going to have that kind of career from now on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's too exhausting, worrying about everything.
Well, you use that energy when you work. That sort of worrying, sort of self-deprecating, sort of almost at time like angry with yourself energy. Use that incredibly creatively when you work. It's part of the engine.
Well, I don't know. It's probably too analytical. Whereas Nicole is very, as you say, very instinctive. Very. It's all hers is done by witchcraft. Nicole, are you a witch? Come clean.
Now I'm saying I'm from planets and I'm a witch and it's going to get really rough for me out there soon.
You speak of ugliness. You have not yet met ugliness.
How great is it that this series is going to be appointment television? It's not all dumping at once. And I was able to binge it. I have to do it for work. But people every week are going to tune in because every episode is a cliffhanger. And we don't really get that much TV like that anymore.
I mean, this is where we all go, we really want him to be right.
I think you are right, though, Mark, because I watched it with my wife, and she pretty much has hated everything I've ever done, but she was obsessed with this. And if I had said, no, we're not watching another episode tonight, she would have physically harmed me. So I do believe in the powers of David Kelly's cliffhangers. They're extraordinary.
Nicole, the close-ups on your eyeballs are...
Yes.
I was obsessed with them.
Well, I didn't realize that was, I mean, when we first started shooting, we would, I think we were doing scenes that didn't incorporate that. And then suddenly when we were doing the things particularly when we was being interrogated in the police station, Susanne started coming in like almost it felt like into my skin, inside me.
Crazy people do crazy things. And they think they can get away with it because they're rich.